Today we are talking with Liza Krivine, a therapist, body worker, who has been teaching musicians, instrumentalists and singers the Oriental traditional approach of shiatsu at the High School of Music in Geneva and Neuchâtel since 2019. Lisa, could you tell a little bit more about your journey, life journey to shiatsu? How did you make this long way?
I come from university background, first of all. I didn't study music professionally. I did amateur singing for a couple of years. And I wanted to be an academic, so I started an intellectual path when I was in my 20s. And then I worked in the cultural world, in the music world, festivals, orchestras, but in the administration part. And also a stage manager at some point. So I did a lot of things in the music, but always in administration. And then in my 30s, I started studying shiatsu because I had attraction to touch. Always when I was a teenager, I liked to touch people and massage, but I didn't know anything more about that. And when I was in England for my studies, university, and I was studying art history, so more painting and sculpture, I met some Japanese friends, and they taught me the traditional kind of family shiatsu, which is the way that in the families, grandparents and small children step on each other's backs and massage and rub each other. And there's a tradition of that in Japan that is quite common, and there's no taboo around touch. And it's a kind of informal way of doing things. And they taught me that, and I really, really liked it. And I realized that I really loved that kind of approach. And when I came back to Switzerland, I started studying it. And I found a school here with a Japanese master, Japanese sensei, we call it. So it means master. And he's teaching all around Europe. And there was a school here in Switzerland. So anyway, shiatsu is a traditional body touch-based approach, therapy, individuals therapy. And you might wonder, how did I land into teaching musicians with all that? So I built my own practice, individual practice for therapy around touch. So it's Oriental medicine, it's energetic medicine, like acupuncture. So basically the principles is to touch and to listen.
Yeah.
And actually the subtitle of the school where I learned was The Listening Hand. So when I contacted the conservatory here for admin job, actually, the manager asked me, but did you ever teach shiatsu? And there was Tai Chi teacher before in the school who retired. And then I had the opportunity to give a seminar to musicians, master degree seminar in 3 days. And I gave them my thought about how could I bridge both worlds, because I had the music culture, classical music culture through my father, who's a conductor. And I always lived surrounded by music and my own amateur experience. And I realized that the common world between those two is the movement and also the listening capacity, because it's gesture. Gesture is the basic world of the body, and that's how you relate to people in therapy and in touch especially, and that's also how you make music. It's gesture, it's movement, very simply put. And because shiatsu shares with the martial arts, so all the traditional movement, energetic practices of China and also of Japan, it shares the common principles of working with the hara, which is the center in the body, and the notions of energy. But most of it is how to use your body, basically. It's to teach. I learned, and I wanted to teach that, how to use your body, or to be in your body in an efficient way, but not only as a tool, but as a way of listening. So the link to music became more obvious, and I realized, how can you make the relation between the world of the therapy and the world of movement, and then also the world of music practice? And actually there's a common in the middle, there's a shared territory that is made of the body sensations, the body movement, and the body listening. So listening to yourself, listening to the music through the body. So my own research has been going in this direction for the last few years. And I came really from that traditional approach because I didn't learn the more common approaches that you would have in other conservatories, for instance, Alexander Technique or Feldenkrais. I wasn't taught that. But through the traditional shiatsu approach, I saw, okay, what is the principle that you find in every technique?
Yeah.
And deep down in the tradition, you have one, or let's say on the finger of one hand, you have all the principles that you find every time. You don't have to search very far. It's always in the same small world. And that is what also our Japanese master taught us, you know, how to use your body with a gravity, with a sensation, with a listening capacity. And that's basically all you need, which is very vast, but at the same time, it's quite simple. So I try to bring it down to those principles and how to decipher them in a understandable way for musicians who haven't learned all that. How can you make the bridge? So that's what I've been doing.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about body awareness for musicians. And let me explain where my question came from. Because as musicians and performers, we are concentrated on the external experience. We always think how it sounds to the public, how we look to the audience through the eyes of the public. And we always concentrated on the external landscape. But however, it's clear that we need to see what's happening inside us also. And to make it is not that easy normally. And when we excessively ignore what's happening inside us, by the time we are around 30 or maybe even earlier, so many problems start to appear. It may be lower back pain during rehearsals or overplaying hands or something. And I believe it could be solved if we think about it in advance. So my question is, how can a musician be aware of their body?
Okay, yes, it's a big question and there are many answers to that question, but let's start with a simple answer, is that awareness is already there. It's not something you have to invent or search. It's already there. It's actually our main capacity as conscious human beings. It's not something you need to learn. It's just the focus that you need to change. Like when you put a lens on a photography machine, when you want to take a picture, those old machines we used to have, you needed to tune, and you could change the lens, or you could put a filter. You could change, okay, I decide to put an orange filter or slightly greenish, and that's how you orient your awareness. Brings the awareness to where it needs. So actually, as I see it, and as I saw also my family practicing music, I saw that everything, as you said, is turned to the outside and to the efficiency and to the performing and to the excellency, the perfectionism. The goal is to the outside. So actually, everything in the world has to be balanced. So you cannot be always outside. You need to bring, at some stage, as you said, you have consequences of that because it creates a lot of tension. There's a cost to all that. So bringing back to the awareness of yourself, which is actually your body, which is always there for you, you will balance out many things that you could not solve by only seeking it outside of yourself. So the awareness is something that we have, but that we forgot to pay attention to. And in the common modern world today, everything is bringing us also a lot of outside. Also with machines, screens and all that, you're always brought to a stimulation to the outside, and very little attention is paid to what's happening inside of you. So awareness is just a practice that you can focus on and decide to develop and to learn day by day to make space for that in your life. It's not something everybody is aware. Everybody is able to do it. It's just you need to know how and to have some anchors to that awareness. But our awareness is always present for us in everything we do. It's just that we've oriented it in a very focused way. And because awareness is also attention, there are several types of attention, and we've brought it to a very focused attention, but we can have different types of attention. So maybe we can talk about that a bit more in detail later, if you want. Yeah.
Maybe also it's about the balance. So our inner landscape, let's say, and outer, and how we handle it during performance and during our practicing normal daily life.
Yes,
also.
Exactly. So the inner world, inner landscape is where you find also the resources. It means always seeking on the outside exhausts you. So there are limits to that. So bringing back to the inner awareness brings you solutions also for your own well-being, your health. To avoid falling ill means having for instance, inflammation of the elbow or blocked trapezius. It can happen, but if you develop that type of awareness, your body is a very, very intelligent tool, which is not actually a tool, it's a kind of pejorative way to see it. But it's not something you need to control or to master. It's something that is you. I really like that sentence. I think, I don't know where it comes from actually. Who said it? I think it was an American philosopher who studied Zen philosophy, so Buddhist, Japanese. And he said, you don't have a body, you are a body.
That's so obvious.
And it's so obvious, but it's very, very strong. And when you hear that, it's like, oh, wow, yes. So without your body, you're nothing. You're not just a mind walking on two legs. You're a body. And in the body, there is a different type of intelligence. And there's been a lot of studies in the last 20 years in the Western world around body intelligence and how can we understand the relationship between the mind and the body. Because we are very focused on the mind. When we say we are on the external world, it also means that we try to control with our mental capacities, our minds. And there's very little attention paid to what we think in the Christian world also as something very basic. So the needs of the body. The needs of the body is a kind of balance that you need in every day. And everybody has been able to experience that. I think when you overwork or you don't sleep, or you don't eat well, you skip meals, and you have so much tension because you have several concerts to prepare and an audition and so on. And then at some stage, your stomach is a knot. You start not sleeping well, or don't sleep even. You start to have a lot of tension, or you feel very nervous, or even shaky, or any kind of symptom. And that is the body manifesting through symptoms that it's not okay. It's sending you signals all the time. And actually that kind of intelligence, in a very basic way, is a way to know what's happening inside you, not only to avoid falling ill, but to listen deeper messages of what you need. Of course, you need more relaxation, you need more balance in your life. But you know, also, it can teach you about posture, it can teach you about what's happening inside you in terms of feelings, in terms of emotions, of what you've been through in the last few weeks, in the last days, that your subconscious that is in your body is registering all the time. Everything is stored in the body. Even if it doesn't raise your mental level, everything is there. So actually, when you pay attention to your body, you have access to all these deeper levels of your experience of life. So in Western philosophy, they call it phenomenology, which is the science of, we'll say, the body through experimenting life. The way that we are in this world is through the body. By sensing, by feeling, by touching, by acting, by moving. Without the movement, without the capacity to relate to things through our bodies, we are nothing. So this is a very, very vast, also philosophical question, body awareness, but we can answer it in a very practical way by coming back to the body dimensions.
Yeah. Well, talking about attention, these days I was reading many theories about attention, filter that our brain filters. Some scientists say this, and there are so many approaches to what attention is. But finally, how I explained it to myself, where is attention, there is an energy, right?
Yes.
And this is the key for us. And how this shiatsu approach explains this kind of phenomenon of attention?
I'm not sure I can explain well a very vast question. I feel humble to this kind of question because it's a very deep subject, and I don't pretend to answer it fully, first of all. But let's say that when we bring it back to very practical things such as playing music or doing movement, where we give our attention goes the energy. It means if you you're reading some score, you're reading sheet music, your energy will rise to the head and to the eyes to bring the concentration and the attention that is needed for that action of your body. If you're in your sofa in the evening and watching TV, your attention is a different type of attention because it's adapting to a kind of semi-relaxed state. And that's what we are looking for usually. That's why we watch TV. We want to kind of doze and a little bit relax by floating. But your attention is somewhere. So for instance, and then when you sleep, it's also a different type of attention, which is in the background. Your subconscious is in the foreground, and your normal attention, daily attention, is back. So I would say attention is the way that the consciousness, which as human beings we all have, how we decide to direct it. So there are different types of attention, but mainly I would say there are two that musicians are it's important to know about. It's the focused type of attention that you need when you're reading or deciphering new music, for instance, or learning something new. And then there's a kind of open attention. Inclusive or open, which means it's more vast and it can include many things. It can include, for instance, other musicians that you play with. It can include the atmosphere in the venue, in the hall where you're playing. It can include your emotional state that you're in. It can include the way that you touch the instrument. It's a kind of open, and it can let things go through and also be able to hold many things at the same time in that same space. So we usually use more focused attention in our daily lives, and also because of screens and smartphones, our attention tends to be very, very closed, and it also closes and tenses up the body a lot. So we need different types of attention for different actions, and nowadays we have too much focused attention. We need more open attention. And we need to teach our body and our minds to go back between both. Let's say we need to balance out between the kind of open and the kind focused attention.
How can we teach? Can you give an example?
Okay, so the open attention is you can base it in the body in a way that, for instance, you start with your breathing, which is the common tradition in many continents, and Chinese tradition, Indian tradition, and old European tradition. So bringing back to the awareness, a basic principle of the body is the way that you breathe. Just breathing in and breathing out. And realizing that there's nothing you have to do because it's being done whatever you do. So you can kind of rely on that capacity that your own body has to keep you alive without you having to focus on anything. So just bringing back to your breath, in breath and out breath. And then pay attention to your posture, to the way you're seated. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just the sensation of your body on the cushion or on the chair, where you touch, where your body touches the cushion. And just very basic tactile sensation, the touch capacity you have on your skin to feel where you're seated, just that. The way your feet touch the ground, if you have your feet on the ground. And you keep some attention for your breath and some attention for your posture, just being seated. Now we can do that for just a couple of moments more. And just noticing what's happening in you, just not judging, simply noticing what's your body doing. It's breathing, it's all sorts of movements inside. You don't really perceive, but they're happening. So that's bringing more attention to the inner world. And then by the in-breath, you can also realize the space around you. So that around your body, feel the air around you. The space, the coolness perhaps, or warmth of the air around you. Can also be the sounds, near sounds or far away sounds. And be aware of perhaps the room you're in, the space where you're being seated, being your bedroom or dining room. And realize that your consciousness, that is very wide, can hold both what's happening for you inside. Even just slight attention means your breath or the fact that you're seated, the sensations of your body of being seated, and the sensations of the outside, what's surrounding you, your body that is held in space. And let your awareness hold those two. And automatically I've done it with closed eyes because closing the eyes focuses more on the inner landscape. It's easier to shut the outer stimulations, but what I suggest is not to slowly open slightly your eyes. And instead of focusing on the screen or on anything in specific, have a peripheral vision. It means relax your eyes and try to see also on the side of your eyes what's happening on the angles where you lose sight, but you have a capacity to slightly see on the sides. So you're not gazing into anything specific, you just relax your eyes. And you relax the muscles of your face and the muscles around your eyes. And you'll see very quickly that your attention really opens when you relax the eyes in the unfocused way. Perhaps you have better access to your body dimension. And with that soft gaze, that softness in your eyes, keep your eyes very relaxed and notice your breath and your sensations again. Your hands on your knees, your feet on the ground. And the way you're seated. And before we finish, can you taste or smell even the atmosphere in your mind now compared to perhaps when we started 15 minutes ago? What's the landscape also in the mental state? Perhaps more open, more clear. And then we can come back.
Wow. My body is so much more open now.
So that's that kind of openness, which is our natural state. It's something we make up. It's something that is natural, but we have been driven away by many things we've been through in our lives. Everybody has that. Difficult times, stressful times. We are driven out of that state, which is there for us all the time, but we forget. So it's not something we need to learn, something we need to unlearn in order to be able to live it on a daily basis. Not, of course, every moment of the day, but as a background, like backstage, backdrop, the decor backstage is this is there always for you. It's not something out there. It's more something, you remove the layers above, and then on the background you have that already there for you. So you just need to make some space in your days to find that state again and connect to that state, which is natural. So for me, it really changes a lot my world perspective to know that this is what I am. This is not, I'm not a big ball of stress.
Yes.
Actually, this is what I impose on myself because I don't know myself. But if I remove these layers, even slightly, I realize that underneath there is that calm and wide space. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to do anything and I'm just going to be, cool. Yes, I can be cool, but cool means also
Cool.
active. And it doesn't mean cool like that, because many people think, I'm learning to meditate, to relax, I'll be all floppy and I don't have energy for things. No, it's the opposite. Is that for me, what we've done there has refreshed me. I feel more, have more energy. Also, my mind is clearer and I have more energy because my blood is circulating better now. So my brain has more energy also for clearer thoughts. So it means that if you do that on a daily basis, your concentration will be better for playing. And you'll be more efficient, but not in the way of that you want to be efficient, because you need that in order to be. Your body knows how to do it. It's only that we don't let it do it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm clear, but...
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit more about modulation and cycles, because you were talking about energy. Also about managing emotions after the concert. Because, for example, for me, after the concert, there is so much adrenaline in the body. There are so many emotions that it could be really hard to do something with it. And how to relax, what to do to make a run, to go for a run, or to...
Perhaps.
Make a meditation.
Perhaps.
Sometimes. And what is the best way, let's say, for a musician to relax after the concert?
I did some amateur singing in the past concerts, and I know that feeling, or after a dance show, that's how you feel as well. So I know the adrenaline level is high, it's normal, and you have to know that your nervous system, in order to...
Sympathetic.
Yeah, it's sympathetic.
Completely.
When it has increased in the red levels that you need to perform, it will decrease, but slowly. It will not go... It will go like this, and then it will go as a slope, a slow slope down. So it's quite normal to know that you have that level of energy, and it's been activated, and it will need time to go down. So first of all, to realize that is to know, okay, it's normal. Don't panic. I have the right to be like this, and perhaps I can do something with it. I can, maybe I need to go out dancing, or I feel very creative and I have lots of ideas, so I can use that energy to do something not too exciting, but just to use that energy in a good way that is good for you, actually. Or it can be you don't want to be alone, you want to be with people, and you want that energy to circulate among people, and you want to go and have a nice meal with very good friends, because you need that energy to flow. Or you need a run in the forest because you have too much. Or you need to go to rest, and perhaps you want to have time on your own, and but you need to feel also in terms of personality types. There is a regulation of the nervous system that is always up and down and up and down. You cannot be always up, 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 and stay on that high level. So at some stage, you will need to go down, and it will go down. But if you don't go with the flow, then you will have symptoms and you have problems. So you need to listen in the short term after, but also maybe the next day. If you're very tired the next day, perhaps it's normal and you need to plan some rest. You cannot expect your body to be like this the next day, because perhaps you need to digest that. You've had a lot of things, your body has been experimenting, or your mind has been experimenting a lot of experience that's very rich, and you need time to digest. So very often we run or we jump into the next thing without taking time. But actually the body also tells you, I need time to digest this. And in our society, we don't do that. We're expected to next day be back as normal and just ignore the messages. And it's not like that. We all do that, and there are consequences, I think. Because then you accumulate lots of things that have not been processed, digested inside, be it excitement or disappointment or fear or just stress, high stress levels or joys, but that stays in the body. Some emotions are labeled more positive, so it's easier to process them, but the negative, so-called negative emotions, such as fear or anger or frustration, we don't take time to process them because we've been taught, educated to push them under the carpet. But actually they're stored in the body and they create more tension. That might come out in another event later on, maybe the day after or a week after, or maybe you don't realize it, but it will store itself somewhere. So I would say, even if it's a very positive experience and you don't really notice anything happening, you just need perhaps to make time to digest, or not expect yourself to be practicing, really hard, and the next morning perhaps you just need to take a few hours to do something that you need, very simply.
Allow yourself this kind of...
Yes, and the going down is necessary, because in every phenomenon in nature you have cycles. In the nature here in Europe, we have 4 seasons. Sorry, we have 4 seasons, so they modulate. Going down in the winter, going up and going down, and it's the same thing in the body. The nervous system also goes down, activates, and then after activation needs to go down again. So following those cycles is necessary. It's not a luxury. It's necessary. It's a basic movement of the body, actually.
And about this storing in the body, emotions in the body.
Yes.
Some people say that, well, we need to sing or we need to dance to let these emotions go out. And what do you think about it?
As I said before, I think there are many ways to do that. And you can find your own way. Some people will need journaling or writing. Some people can cry. Others can...
But wait, journaling, it doesn't help for body. We're just...
I think movement is one of the best ways. Well, to talk about the body dimension, you access it mainly through three actions. Just noticing your sensations. So coming back to all the sensory aspects of the body. Being you can do massage, you can get a massage as well, you can do many things in those ways, or just noticing by meditating. Then you can do breath exercising. So breathing also, yes, that's the second. The breath, noticing the breath. And the breath also regulates the mind and the body. So it really helps to regulate the emotions. Being difficult or good ones, it can depend. It really regulates and makes the digestion of the emotions much easier, or accessible at least. And then the third is movement. So it can be movement like Tai Chi, Qigong, or running, or sports, or dancing. But a kind of conscious movement, I would say, is better, because then if you want the movement to be also a digestion of your inner state, you need to bring awareness to the movement. So if you're doing, for instance, in the sports in the gym, running on a carpet and listening at the same time to music and watching the TV, because now they put screens in the gyms. It's too much stimulation. There's no attention to what's happening in you. So I would say going for a hike in the forest or in the mountains, if you have access to nature, or moving in a spontaneous way and or shaking, or, you know, it can be many ways, but it needs to be a kind of clever way, not a distracted way. There are many modulations to many states, but there are some main ways to do that, to access that dimension. But you can, once you've learned once or two ways, then you can adapt to what you need on the very same day. But first you need to learn how to do that, because then you don't know really what to do. You say, okay, well, what am I supposed to do? Just to run? Okay, I feel better, but I feel there's a dimension I've not really been able to experience. So perhaps going to a class to teach you that, to give basic principles, and then you know on your own in an autonomous way how to access that. And you don't need to go to a class. You can do it at home or after your concert on your own. Yeah. You need to learn, because nowadays we don't learn these things anymore. And that's a shame.
Okay. I think we can pause here.
Yes, I think we've covered quite a lot of material. Perhaps people will think, oh, wow, this is so much.
Information, too much.
Yes, but we can come back and explain more things. And of course, it's a very vast topic. So,
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Vasilisa.